Welcome to the Winning Edge podcast, where we share focus, fueling, and faith-filled stories and strategies to give young athletes the tools they need to become the best version of themselves as athletes and individuals.
What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts. I'm Lindsay, former collegiate athlete, coach, and educator, an educational coach for over 20 years, and a mom of 2 young athletes.
And I'm Stacy, registered dietitian nutritionist of 18 years, and also a mom of 2 young athletes. In this episode, we're excited to dive into the importance of learning to fail for our young athletes and how this helps build resilience and mental toughness in the long term in both sports and life.
I love that we're talking about this today because failure is such a powerful teacher for our young athletes and providing essential opportunities for them to build resilience, which gives them the ability to bounce back after setbacks, such as a missed shot or not making a team or just having a tough loss. Experiencing and overcoming failure helps young athletes develop mental toughness, which is a trait that benefits them not only in sports, but throughout their entire lives, whether that's academics and in their careers or in future relationships. And research has shown that coping with failure is a crucial piece for long-term success, fostering skills like problem solving and building confidence.
I love this so much, Lindsay, and I am really excited for this topic. You know how often it is that I have parents that will ask me, well, what do I do? My son he tried out, he didn't make this team, or, he was a really great athlete when he was younger, and so we were always winning and always succeeding, but now he's in middle school or he's in high school, and he's really struggling with being able to kind of overcome these challenging mental situations. So I'm so grateful that I ran into you and met you and that we get to do this because I love to talk nutrition. You love to talk mindset. And so I'm excited for you to share some key pearls of wisdom with us today.
It is a great pairing for sure. I think that over our lives as adults, as moms, we've experienced failure in so many different ways. And our mental toughness has allowed us to rebound from all that, right? But younger kids have a really hard time, especially in those preteen and prepubescent years, all the way through their high school years, with understanding how to recover from setbacks. And it's really interesting because a few years ago, my oldest son had a batting clinic with Elijah McNamara, who he was a former Cy Ranch baseball player. And then he went on and had this incredible career at Mississippi State. And he told the boys that baseball is a game of failure.
For
and
sure.
It absolutely.
And it's failure on a stage because you're out there and everybody's looking at you. And it's like, if you screw up on third base or you screw up on the pitcher's mound,
all eyes on you.
All eyes on you.
Whereas like a basketball game, there's so much going on.
Or football or soccer.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, nope, you're pitching. Oh, there you go. You just hit the batter, But when he said that, the boys, I remember them kind of looking at him like, what did he just say? They weren't expecting this incredible player with just all the accolades that come with his career to tell them, hey, you're going to strike out. You're going to strike out more than you have hits at the plate.
Yeah, you're going to fail more than you succeed. Right. And we call that good in baseball.
And it's good. And so he actually made this connection, and I don't want to put him on blast, but it was so perfect. He goes, if when you're looking, you're interested in girls, right? A 7 out of 10's awesome, isn't it? Like, man, your girlfriend's a 7 out of 10. And I remember August looked at me like, yeah. And he goes, well, in baseball, you're happy you get a 3 out of 10. So the kids are all dying laughing. And I'm like, it's accurate though. Like, we as parents, we sit in games and we're like, just hit the dang ball. But really, what are we asking them to do? We're asking them to hit the dang ball, but a professional MLB player is
hitting it 3 times out of 10.
Is good. So do we want our kids to hit it every time they get to the plate? Sure, but that's not reality. And so he had told them, your strikeouts, those errors, those mistakes, that's where you grow.
Well, and I think you say this the best. So I think oftentimes when we think about young athletes and we see a strikeout or we see, a football pass that was not caught and so it was incomplete, or we as parents want to call them failures or errors, but I think you're really good at this and just helping me even rethink about it and frame it as a parent is just the importance of having what you would call a growth mindset and not seeing
Absolutely.
these as errors, but seeing them as opportunities to really
Mm-hmm.
reposition, like, okay, what did I learn from that pass that I didn't catch? Did I not do something correctly with my hands? Did I not turn my body? Was I not positioned well? Did I not read the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with a strikeout. Like, what did I learn? So moving your mind away from, oh, I just struck out, to, okay, I saw that third pitch and it went this way when I expected it to go that way, or, oh, I wasn't loaded early enough, or
Exactly.
just really trying to have this growth mindset. So talk to us a little bit about the importance of what you would say is encouraging a growth mindset. And what do you mean by this? Like, tell our listeners, what does this mean?
So a growth mindset, we actually have a poster that we have on our social media too. And it's just showing the difference between a fixed mindset, which is what most kids have, which is, I can't do this, I'm going to mess up. It's all the negative self-talk, right? And that internal dialogue, which is supposed to be negative at this age. Like, kids, that's what their dialogue is.
And for some kids, I will say, some
shift it.
are harder than others.
Are so much harder than others. And then you have some kids that have no reflection ability. That's a whole other podcast. But
well, and the importance of why we do one-on-one coaching, because we'll talk a lot about in these podcasts around broad theories, even in the book, around things that work broadly for most, but it's kind of like nutrition. We talked last episode about it needs to really be individualized, and mindset is no different.
Absolutely. And knowing where your kid fits on that growth mindset chart, right? Like, they're really good at doing this, but they're struggling in this part of it. And so we can, coach athletes to, how do you become a growth mindset athlete in all areas of your athletic experience, which it connects directly to how they're going to be as an adult and how they're going to handle professional life and relationships as well. But when young athletes are allowed to fail, it naturally shifts their mindset from fearing mistakes to understanding, like, this is a part of my process. This is how I actually get better.
We need this as adults too.
We do need this as adults. And we'll talk about that in this podcast too. Like, we do. But it allows them to, like, try more, take bigger risks in a game, and persevere when things don't go your way. Because they're not.
Which reminds me of I always use this, and I use it in work a lot in my career. And I tell this to my team of, like, Warren Buffett's old saying of, like, I stand on a pile of my failures. You think about him and the successful man that he is. I mean, he got there because he probably had a lot more failures than most people, but those failures also led him to a lot more opportunities for success. And so, again, just reframing for both adults and for our young athletes, how they think about this.
If they have the growth mindset and they're able to see that missed goal that they kicked, and if they're able to see that and take the risk and be like, that's okay, I'm going to get it next time.
What did I learn from it?
What did I learn from that? How do I set goals from this? Then they become a better athlete throughout their process as well. And it's funny because the other day, yesterday actually, I was scrolling one of the travel baseball sports groups, which, if you're on these sports group, listeners, it's insanity.
Well, and you're getting a lot of advice. I would just say too, and that's where I'm grateful to have this podcast and grateful for the book, the workbook, like us being connected to other experts in this space, is like, you're getting a lot of advice on those group threads from people who really don't have any sort of background in these spaces.
And some of the advice of this mom or dad, it was anonymous, but they were saying how their kid didn't make the team, high school athlete, got cut from a team, and they wanted to go in and, like, fix it. Like, what can we do? Do we put him on another team? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading this and I'm reading the comments, and there were like 86 comments at this point. And I was like, you can't rescue your kids, right? Like, you can't be the lifeboat. You can't fix everything. You want to give them the best opportunities, but really, moving teams or finding the solution, how is that really helping them?
Yeah. You can't teach them how to fail forward if you never allow them to fail.
Exactly. And when they do have those setbacks, right, they have to work through appropriate emotional and mental response to that. Like, you have to feel something. It's okay to cry. I always tell my boys too, like, it's okay to cry. There's nothing wrong with that.
Name that emotion, feel it.
Tell me how
I'm upset,
feel.
I'm frustrated,
exactly.
I'm discouraged.
And then give me the reasons why. Why are you frustrated? Do you feel like you didn't try out? Like, was your tryout not good? Did you have an off day? Like, what's really going on? But then knowing that from that setback, now we set goals. Do you need help with the goal setting process, or do you know what your goals need to be as an athlete? And realizing that, you know, those goals that you're setting are based on areas of weakness, and you have to be able to identify that and then have realistic goals to set to improve those areas. It's not going to happen overnight. Um, and as parents, not every kid's going to make a high school team. The longevity of your child's athletic career may not go through high school.
Yeah, look at Michael Jordan. He didn't make his high school team.
No, freshman year he was
but
cut.
Talk about somebody who his mom told him to get to work.
Yeah,
and he got to work.
They're like, there was no, oh, let me talk to the coach for you, or let me get a new team. No, don't. You're not going to school. You work. Get out there and pick up the ball.
Because the reality is like if you can't cut it where you are and you make it easier to go somewhere else, you're still going to face that same level of competition at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that failure in a positive way can actually help our young athletes and even our adults with a little bit of self-reflection and teaching adaptability. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Failure forces our athletes to analyze their game, identify the areas that are needed for improvement, and then to make adjustments to the techniques. Like, okay, maybe you've been working on your jump shot for months and you're not seeing the results. Well, what's going on here? Do you need to go to another, like a shooting coach? Do you need to have a trainer work on you? Is your footwork off? Like, there's techniques and preparation that can be adjusted or changed to help you with that. But the process of self-reflection is really the most critical part for the personal development, the athletic development, and understanding their strengths and weaknesses as young athletes. It can help them refine their skills and become more adaptable competitors. Yeah. And I'm sure you have an example of this, you know, with your own kids.
I will say we have a fun story. We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but I have a really great example. I actually had a parent on the team come up to me afterwards because throughout this last season of baseball that we played, our youngest, he used to get so nervous when he was coming in to actually have to pitch and there were runners already on base. And it didn't matter if there were 1 out or 2 outs and he only had to get 1 or there were no out. He would just get so nervous. And he's a great little pitcher, but he'd get so in his head that he would just continue walking more batters. And his coach would put him in because he knew he could handle this. He knew he was a great pitcher, but mentally he just wasn't there. And so I was telling you, Lindsay, that like I had him read through the book and he was reading through the workbook. And he really was then just understanding how to use these tools. So recently, so funny, I had a parent come up to me after the game. He got called in to this tie baseball game. Bases were loaded and there were no outs. I mean, you talk about pressure. And I'm over here going, you know, as a mom, this kid is pitching, you're never not sweating, right? Gosh. It's like we're even more nervous than they are. So I'm like, ooh, this could go really bad, really good or really bad. We've been working on a lot of stuff. So he gets called in and he is just like knockout. Yes. And I'm watching this different kid on the mound than I would have watched a month or 6 months or a year ago. And it's truly because it's like we've worked so much through, so what if that pitch doesn't go your way? Get the next one. What did you learn from it? Okay, you didn't, you didn't step down the mound. Okay, you didn't hold the ball correctly. Okay, it was a little bit to the outside and maybe the ump should have called it, but he didn't. Cool. Work on what is the next thing. Control the controllables and control what you can control. And then we work a lot on like, hey, it's a lot harder job for them than it is for you as a pitcher. You just got to throw a strike. They got to actually put the bat on it, which we talked about is a lot harder. And so it was just really fun to see him in a situation where normally he would have let his mindset impact his physical performance, but instead he was using these great tools that you have helped teach me and that the book and the workbook have helped him have. And a parent came up to me afterwards and like, what did you do? And I said, I do this on the side, right? I have a business partner. And she's like, no, but I need the book. And so,
and that's like so crucial too. It's not even, it doesn't matter what sport, it doesn't matter what position. It's just building that confidence in a kid that I can do this. And it's okay.
And for him to know, I think what was so exciting is he knew, because we've been working on this all season, like, I don't care if you walk 4 batters. I don't care if you strike out 3 batters. I love you either way. And you're a great pitcher, no matter which of those you do. And honestly, even just changing that dialogue between me and him as a parent, like doing my job and letting him do his, was really fun to see him go like, okay, cool. She believes in me. Like I got to do it.
And I think we as parents believe in our kids so much more than they believe in themselves. But we talked about it before, who you are at the end of the game when they're playing their worst and who they are at the end of the game
Has
when
to
they're
be
playing their best
consistent.
has to be consistent. Yep. Because there has to be that trust there and that safety to be like, I can take those risks. I can do this. And then that lets them build that confidence and help that mindset shift to the growth mindset.
Because the reality is
crucial.
They're gonna have highs and lows.
Oh,
I mean, talk to your people who played in the pros of any sport. Like, there are ups and downs. And so you're gonna have that. And so talk a little bit about failure's role in helping us as parents, as athletes, as coaches, really help to foster just a perseverance and really build character at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think that, it's really, I think it's really strange, but the more you grow as a human and the better person you become is truly rooted in what you've gone through as obstacles. And I will always stand by that. The worst experiences I've had in my life have grown me to be a better person than I could have ever imagined I would be.
Yeah. I always say it's kind of like diamonds. Pressure applied at the right place and time drives beauty. Like, it is such a powerful thing. And I love that.
So biblical. Yes. Right? Like, what we see in ourselves and our fears that we have to trust God in that. And I think this goes with that mindset with our athletes too, like, and how we model as parents. But success is so easy to enjoy, but it's the whole process of how do you recover from a setback? How do you get back up and persevere and understand that, like, it's not instant results that lead to progress. Yes. It's learning from those failures and those setbacks that are going to lead to the process. And I think, it's all areas of life. In the classroom, so many students are afraid to fail. So many students are afraid to take risks. But when they get that trust, when they trust their teacher, when they trust themselves to take risk and have that support, the amount of growth that we see across all content areas, it's night and day. And so it goes with sports. And what are we modeling at home for our kids? Yeah. Right? Like, are we afraid to take risks? You and I mean, this was like a passion project for you. This is what some people would say is insanity. Right? Yeah. You were like, hey, I want to do this.
I have this dream. I want to invest in young athletes. I want to invest in coaches and parents. And like, it's so funny that you said truly biblical, because it really takes me back to Hebrews 12:1, which is, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin which clings to us so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Yes. It gives me chill bumps, because it makes me think about, those are the places in life where it's like, it's hard. Yeah. And you stumbled and you're picking yourself up and you're bloody and you feel beaten and you feel bruised. And as adults, it's like modeling this. Okay. Yeah. How do we keep with endurance, with perseverance, growing and learning through this, and modeling these things for our kids? Because whether we're paying attention or not, they're watching all of it. Literally every move, every word, everything that we do, they're watching. And whether you have had to bounce back after a job loss, or maybe you've completely changed your career path. Maybe you're working 3 jobs right now because times are tough. Maybe you're going through a divorce and you're struggling to just get out of bed and face every day. Maybe you've lost a family member. All these things, it's like, don't live in that negativity and that failure that you view as a failure. Show your kids how that's an opportunity now for you to set new goals. Yeah. For you to dream, for you to push yourself. Yeah. And to take every thought captive. And I think, again, just tying back to like what you and I so passionately believe in regards to our faith, is like to take those thoughts captive, and to not, those can be, and even personally, like those can be really defeating, or you can invite those things in as, you know what? And I use this a lot with my kiddos, like when things don't go, or even when my behavior isn't consistent. Like I told you about the one time where I freaked out. And I'm like, I have to then go, hey, I need to acknowledge that. I need to own it, apologize for it. And then the next time I need to make a better decision, because I also want you to know that it's okay for you as my child to, you're not going to get everything right. No, you're not, because you're imperfect. There's only one perfect person who walked this earth, and like, he's not here to talk about it. And so I think, the thing is like really understanding that it's okay for us to model that failure, getting it wrong, and having grace for ourselves in the process too.
And even something as simple, like I went back after my divorce, I went back to school to get my master's degree with select baseball going on, with two little kids, and pushed through that. And I didn't think that the boys really knew what I was doing. But when I finished my degree, they were so dang proud of me.
Yeah.
And they recognized, like, you've done all this, you've worked so hard for this, blah, blah, blah. And so I do have goals set. Like, I want to be a principal in a rural school district at some point. And so every time I apply for an AP job, or like I went back and got my superintendent certification, yes, I mark it on my tracker.
They see you setting goals.
Yes, yeah. They are actively involved in what my goal setting process is. They know it. I say it to them because I think the more you speak things out loud and say, it's not like, you're speaking it into existence. I don't really believe that. I think the more that you say it, the more you understand what you really want.
Yeah. And what you need to do to get there.
Yeah. And how you're going to be accountable.
But it goes back to setting goals, and we'll have a whole episode on this. Is just like how important that is. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But I want to shift us to like ultimately in the end, and this again goes back to a prior episode that we talked about recently. Our goal as parents is making sure that we're really promoting enjoyment and love of the game and the process.
Oh,
absolutely. Because when it run the race with endurance, like it's a race and it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. And so like talk about the importance of teaching them to just love the game, love the process of the work.
Oh my gosh. This is the biggest part. When you stop loving what you do, you tend to burn out. A lot of athletes burn out in high school. Yeah. That sophomore to junior year, a lot of kids would be like, I'm done. I saw it a lot when I was playing, and it was like, man, that kid was so good. What the heck happened?
Yeah, but they lost the love. This was my high school story, and like it just frustration with the coach. I lost the love of the process, and then looking back, I just wish. Yeah.
And I think when, as parents, we're focused on that. Like, do you love it? Have fun. Because at the end of the day, they may not play their sport past that season. They may play all the way through college, but very, very few go on to be professional athletes. But this love of the game might lead them to be a coach someday that wins district 10 times in a row, or give them the tools to be an incredible athlete, or not athlete, an incredible employee because of that experience as an athlete,
or even just parent, sibling. Yeah, I think it's teaching all the things that we fundamentally believe in, of like giving them the life skills, to be able to set and accomplish goals, to have resiliency, to have mental toughness, to take care of their body in a way that their body can fuel them.
And I think a lot of athletes can probably speak on it, but we probably as athletes wouldn't have had the ability or the understanding of how to navigate failures in life if we hadn't have been an athlete and gone through that process so many times. It's just normal, right? Yeah. Something doesn't go, your marriage falls apart. Well, you just keep going, because that's what we've trained ourselves to do. You keep going, you set new goals, you move on, right? Yeah. Your job, the business closes, you need to restart. You figure it out, because that's what good athletes
do. You have the resiliency and sort of tenacity to do that. And I think, it's really what we talked about is like in life, there will be highs and lows.
Absolutely.
Like, that is the one thing that's guaranteed. There will be hills, and those will be great and wonderful when you'll be winning. And there will be valleys that feel daunting and exhausting, and the times when you need to be able to tap into that endurance to continue.
Absolutely. And I think it says more about you as your character and about who you are as a person to know what you do when you're in the valley than how you are when you're on the top of the mountain.
Success is fun. Everybody loves success. But this is the real character is made.
Absolutely. The highs and the lows are happening, but you literally have to become obsessed with the cycle of overcoming obstacles and setting goals if you want to win in the long game.
Yeah. And win at sports, win at life, win in the things you're trying to accomplish. So as a quick recap for our listeners, Lindsay, what are some practical, quick ways to support our young athletes through failure? Sort of give us the Cliff Notes version that they, parents that are listening or coaches that are listening can ensure they're taking away and can do these few things to really put them into practice to help maybe themselves and also their athletes.
Oh, for sure. All of us need this. So the first thing is you have to encourage self-reflection. You have to ask, What have you learned from this setback, rather than focusing on what went wrong?
Or even calling it something wrong.
Yeah. Just what did you learn from this game? What did you take away from that experience? Number 2, praise effort and the process. You have to recognize the hard work being put in. You have to recognize the smart decisions that are being made and the progress, the growth, not just end results. The third thing is normalizing mistakes and understanding that it's going to happen. Let them feel confident in that. Like, I'm going to mess up. It's okay. It's part of the process. The fourth thing, allow space for failure. Just, let your kids have those setbacks. Let them fail if things don't go in.
Don't jump in and remove every
Rescue
obstacle.
them, please. Like, that's part of the process. They have to have failure in order to become successful. The fifth thing is modeling positive attitudes. So when you display body language that is like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that they just missed that, or you're giving harsh criticism, you're not allowing that safe space. And I say safe space, and I don't really believe in safe spaces, but you're not allowing that comfortability for the athlete to take risks.
Well, and I think it's important here, I want to talk about this, is when your verbal and nonverbals don't align, kids are smart enough to pick up on them. So you can say, oh, it's okay, you'll learn through that and grow. But when you go, oh, and you slam the fence when they strike out, you're sending mixed signals, and your kids are smart enough to pick up on this.
Actually, speak louder than words.
You're saying model positive attitudes in both your verbal and nonverbal. Yeah.
And the sixth thing, the last thing, is learning through failure. Having that growth mindset, you can use failure to set the new goals, to track, to measure progress. And it's a cycle, and you literally have to become obsessed with that cycle.
Yeah, I love this. So you're saying it's kind of like Rocky. I wish we had the theme song music now. Yeah. It's like, it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up, and how you can help yourself and your athlete keep their mind focused on sort of these small present goals. And even if things don't go their way, to really focus positively on just making progress towards your big, hairy, audacious, like things you want to accomplish. Yes. And if they can keep their mindset fixed on that, get knocked down and get back up again. That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's the most important lesson. Just failure and success go hand in hand. You fail forward, you use your failure to grow and propel you. Allowing young athletes to experience and learn from their failure is essential for their growth, whether it's as a competitor or an individual. And embracing failure, they're going to develop that resilience, the growth mindset, adaptability, and perseverance, and a general love of the process, which they're going to need no matter what they're doing in every facet of their life.
Yeah, in academics and sports, whatever that might be. Lindsay, this information was so helpful. You're always so helpful to me to really think about how I, as a parent, am really helping to support my own athletes learn through failure and not prevent them from it. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. Hopefully all of our listeners, parents, coaches, young athletes listening, took as much great information away from this episode as I did.
Stay tuned for future podcasts where we will bring on exciting guests in the sports world, highlight spotlight coaches, athletic directors, former and current collegiate and professional sports players, sports dietitians, sports psychologists, and more.
What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you.
Stay tuned to learn more about how you can join our community and get more exclusive content. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X at @span_athletics.
Until next time, stay faithful, stay fueled, and remain focused on your goals.